の流行りの女の子、お尻の小さな女の子、こっちを向いてよハニー。だってなんだか、だってなんだもん。
Yeah, rock the wind 食べろ light it cause me 全ての girls をまるでダイヤモンド Happy go lucky
お願いお願い傷つけないで私のハートを尽くしちゃうの。いやよ見つめちゃいやハニーフラッシュ
Yeah, bring it on まだまだ止まらない Let's go
今時人気の女の子、福とポインの女の子、こっちを向いてよハニー。だってなんだか、だってなんだもん。
What you got to it then no way out
お願いお願い近寄らないで私のお花がひくしちゃうの。いやよ見つめちゃいやハニーフラッシュ変わるわよ。
Yeah, we break it down like this Check it out You better act like you know We come from the town We don't stop Yeah, let's make that big pop Can you stop us? Can you stop us? Set aside, don't give up What you gotta do tonight Can nobody hold us down? 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 Keep low We get on and on now We're standing on the floorこれからベッドダウン今からだからベッドダウン 3, 2, 1, go
この頃流行りの女の子、子猫の肌した女の子、こっちを向いてよハニー。だってなんだか、だってなんだもん。
なんてはいらないベビーはシャキさ
お願い追いかけないで私のお目目がしくしちゃうの。いやよ見つめちゃいやハニーフラッシュ
Check it out Turn it up Turn it up
ハニーフラッシュ変わるわよ。
I'm changing now. That's right. I'm naked for this podcast. And unfortunately for you, this is an audio podcast. Which, if you really think about it, I didn't even know visual podcasts were a thing. No, I'm not actually naked for this podcast. But visual podcasts I didn't know they were an actual thing, but apparently they have been for a really long time. But I thought the idea of a podcast was to make something that you typically download and listen to on your iPod, you know, podcast, iPod. I always figured it was just this online radio show, but no, people do it with videos, which is really weird because it's usually just them talking unless they put up a picture to reference whatever they're talking about. And half the time, I usually have another tab open and I'm just listening to them anyway. So, I don't know. I've always found video podcasts a weird thing, but those people that do put up video podcasts probably get way better ratings and more views than mine does. Mainly because it's on YouTube and that's just a wider medium than podcast sites. Which you'd think for podcast, a podcasting site specifically targeted to podcasts would be the better option here, but apparently it's not. But I'm not about to risk putting my podcast on YouTube and have to deal with all these copyright things. Even if I took out the music from a show, which I'm not going to do, then I feel like I'd still get copyrighted because people have to deal with that stuff just when they talk about things, especially if it's something negative, which, I might be doing a little bit of today because the topic of today is Cutie Honey. Now, I actually like Cutie Honey I like the majority of Cutie Honey things. And we're doing this because a new live-action Cutie Honey movie is coming out in Japan called Cutie Honey Tears, starring Maria Nishiuchi. I swear, I'll probably get better at these Japanese names sooner or later. You'd think I would be already, but I'm not. Now, Maria, who starred in hit drama Switch Girl and its sequel Switch Girl 2, which is also one of my personal favorite Japanese dramas, one of the few that I actually watch, so there you go. And she starred alongside drama and Kamen Rider actor Ren Kiriyama, who, coincidentally, plays my favorite Kamen Rider, Shotaro Hidori, or Kamen Rider Double, or Kamen Rider Joker, depending. She also did voice acting for the character Marin in the One Piece Film Z movie, for anyone who's interested in One Piece. There's one thing you can tack her to that maybe you might be like, oh yeah, she did a good job voicing her character, I'm sure she'll be great in a live action movie. But she is actually, at least from what I can tell. The trailer's out on Toei's YouTube channel, so if you're interested in seeing it, go see it. It's not hard to find. It's got a darker, more grounded tone than any previous Honey outing, and it's a bit more in the vein of Toei's Kikaido reboot back in 2014, which to me is a good indication, because that movie was awesome! Now, I explained who Cutie Honey is in a previous episode, but if you really want to get to know her, check out the original manga or watch the fabulous 1973 original anime available at Discotek. And you know what? I don't even get paid for these plugs. In fact, I don't get paid at all. I just do this. So yeah, in the interest... Oh man, that was so Canadian of me. Oh man, it's taking over. Anyway, in the interest of this new movie that no one but me seems to be excited for, I thought I'd talk about a really bad live-action Cutie Honey interpretation to get people excited for the actual good-looking movie. So we're going to talk about Cutie Honey, the Live, from 2008. It might seem an odd choice since there is a live-action Cutie Honey movie out already. I know it was directed by Hideki Anno of Evangelion and the new Shin Godzilla movie, but to be honest, I have fond memories of that movie that I'm a bit afraid of ruining if I rewatch it now. It's one of those, you know? I want it to just stay a kind of fuzzy, nice, nostalgic memory. In a way, that one's a kind of special film to me. Not only did it show me Cutie Honey for the first time, but it was my first introduction to anything Go Nagai related. And he's my favorite manga artist and writer. So maybe one day I'll go back and rewatch it, but until that time comes, I wanted to try something different and try something I've never seen before. So, after the music, I'm going to talk about the first 13 episodes of Cutie Honey, the Live.
私の手に入らないショーケースタイス並ぶようなトランス遠くに飽きてるから一人だけに向けられる微笑みのダイヤも飾らせてロンリネスあなたの心が愚かに見せる今の自分はあの You are my brilliant 届かないけれど抜き捨てる過去さなぎは夢を見てるよ生まれ変わる時初めて会う世界とはあなたの世界嘘には慣れてるけど私は錆びてしまうの Just a break 抜け出したい place 自分を守らなくちゃ愛の意味がわからない教えられることじゃないのね感じ取れば変わるからこれからの私が足りなかった涙戯れの日々は映画のようにその場で自演 I can't wake up myself up 明日を望めば殻が破れて透けてる羽 初めて会う世界とはあなたの世界昔の夢が消えたら立ち止まり目を閉じるよこれから私の世界で何が始まるのだろう今は願いが闇にとらわれて生まれた期待を咲いてしまう孤独な手の中にぬくもりと優しさのかけらが浮かぶよ忘れたくないものがこぼれてくまた一つ I lost a place 瞳に映す光は悲しみの中揺れるよそれでも明日が来るなら前を向いて迎えよういつも痛みは胸の片隅で綺麗な言葉に苦しんでる戸惑いながらでも変わろうと儚い想いを感じて見上げれば海がある星の波私へと降り注ぐどこへ行くのか誰も知らないけど影をまといつつ進む夜明け戸惑いながらでも変わろうと儚い想いを感じて孤独な手の中にぬくもりと優しさのかけらが浮かぶよ忘れたくないものがこぼれてくまた一つ I lost a place yeah また一つ I lost a place
What wonderful tracks. Besides the opening, which you already heard, of course. So the three of the songs that you'll hear in this podcast are actually the three different endings to Cutie Honey the Live. And normally I wouldn't mention anything like that, except for these are done in a kind of non-traditional manner. I don't mean the songs themselves. I mean, alright, so you know how, like, a song will have maybe an end theme for Season 1, and then maybe it'll change and have a new one for Season 2, yada yada yada. This show doesn't do that. What it has three different tracks for three of the main heroes, and depending on which one the episode is more focused on, is which end theme they choose for the episode. I actually kind of like that. It's pretty fresh to me. It is kind of, yeah, it's fresh. It's cool. Okay, so that leads me to the show itself. Oh, this is a weird show for me. Going into it, I was very enthusiastic and excited. The show starts off with an updated remix of the original Cutie Honey theme, complemented by visuals that match all the previous title sequences from the franchise. also kindly letting us know that this is aired late Saturday night. You get that constantly by it going, oh, Saturday night! You know, the blah 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 is Japanese words that I can't pronounce and even remember what the heck they're saying, but they constantly spam the idea that this is Saturday night. This isn't for kids. Like, so many people think Tokusatsu is just for kids, and well, you can show them this, because it's really not. It's got, all the main heroes are gravure models, which to my knowledge, is basically just a Playboy model, just a Asian version. It's got all kinds of sexual innuendos and weird themes, and also some risque scenes. It's definitely not something you want young children watching if they're sensitive or uneducated about the female body. However, that to me is a good thing. Not in the perverted sense, but in the sense that it means it's going to be accurate to the source material. Right? Well, sort of. Here's the thing. If you're going into this thinking it's going to be one of the animes or the manga, but translated to live action, you're mistaken. But if you're like me and don't like to see the same stories done 40 different ways and prefer new stories, you're in luck! The show is easily the same tone and spirit that a Honey production should carry. It's daring, it's upbeat, colorful, bizarre, and of course, sexual in a lighthearted, fun kind of way. Most of the time. There's no, like, weird rape or anything like that. That's left to stuff like, you know, Urutsuka no Doji. And if you don't know what that is, well, wait till you're alone at night and watch it. Or watch it in a crowded room. I don't really care what you do. Anyway, this also features some familiar characters, and by that I mean 2. And it's mostly new characters, honestly. In fact, the whole first half of this show is basically just character introductions. Like, they build up a character somewhat as they introduce them, and they just kind of go from there. It's a whole lot of throwing in new characters, character after character, which I guess is going to build up on some kind of plot for the second half of the show. But yeah, the first half is basically just a bunch of character introductions. So, our only staple characters are Honey herself and her friend, Saiji Hayami, who is my personal favorite character in the show, and also one of my favorite characters in Cutie Honey in general. Unlike previous stories where he was a journalist, here he's a homeless private detective. Oh wow, gee, I wonder why I like him. Is it maybe because he's a detective, and I like detective things. The twist is, he's chosen to be homeless so he can understand the dark side of the city better, because homeless people are the dark side of the city, I guess, now. Homeless people understand the criminal underworld. They got connections, man. They gotta eat somehow, even if that means eating crack. Now, he met Honey while trying to take on a gang, trying to get some girl's purse back, and he went to, you know, confront the gang, but they're a gang, and he's actually just a giant wimp. So he ran away, and Honey's basically kicked ass and bailed him out. Now she kind of acts as his muscle for cases when, you know, shit starts to hit the fan, so to speak. Alright, and this brings me to Honey herself, who, believe it or not, is the reason I don't know if I like the show. Everything else about the show I like, as well as the other characters. Unfortunately, they had to go and make Honey the biggest ditz to come out of the land of dumbasses! The actress who plays her, Mikihara, a well-known model and also a good actress if you see her in the Kamen Rider 4's movie as Inga Blank. Like, she's a really good actress and a very not cringeworthy actress, so I'm blaming this entirely on the no-name director. I mean, he has a name, but I don't remember it, and I think this is the only thing he has attached to his name so far, at least that I can find out. If anybody knows different, feel free to contact me on my Facebook page. Or if you have my personal account, you can message me there. I can get over the fact that Honey doesn't have blonde hair. The actress doesn't have blonde hair. That's not really a big deal. Although if this was a well-known thing in America, they'd be condemning the show to hell for changing something as simple as her hair. But that's not a real issue, and I'm not going to complain about that, because that would be just nitpicking. If this series was perfect, then maybe that would be my only tiny little gripe, but they got everything else about Honey so wrong that I don't even care about the fucking hair. The portrayal of Honey is all wrong, and I recall this being something in the live action movie as well, but not to this degree. Cutie Honey being an android means that she's not always going to understand the human heart or certain human traditions right away. And that's fine if you want to do something like that. But where the real Cutie Honey, not in real life, but I'm calling the other versions like the real Cutie Honey, because I don't consider this Cutie Honey because she's not really like the character. That character being smart, adaptive, and charming, this one just ends up being a whipping wind-up doll who's too fucking perky. Honey has always been happy and perky, but this show makes her out to be either way too fucking happy, like she just swallowed fucking ecstasy, or the other extreme, a complete and total wuss. And I don't know why. Why? Like, you obviously have watched, or at least seen, some Cutie Honey, or maybe read it, so I don't understand why it's so hard to adapt this character into live action. They either go to one extreme or the other. Is it really that hard to find someone who's happy, or to act happy and just confident in yourself, but also be able to show human emotions when the script calls for it? That's the thing. Is this Honey... Yes, Honey is an android, but she was able to learn certain human features and even kind of develop feelings. It's that touchy subject we see in a lot of Japanese media with, what defines a machine and what defines a human. And can machines adapt human feelings? And when they do, are they still a machine? Or have they kind of transcended into that humanity type thing? And while that isn't really explored too in-depth in Cutie Honey, oh, well, maybe we could actually do that! Yeah! No, we don't get that at all. About at the end of the first episode, we're introduced to Yuji Nakajo, played by Kohei Murikama from Kamen Rider Faiz, who, just like in Kamen Rider Faiz, gives off the weirdest and creepiest facial expressions that's a mix of a psychotic 6-year-old and the Grinch. Ironically enough, he has this weird personality disorder. His default one is this calm, collected businessman. Then there's the innocent, childlike one, and finally the savage, gonna fuck your day up one, complete with weird webbed dragon claws that he uses to utterly devastate our main hero. And this brings me to my other point about why I don't like this Honey, is she loses way too much. Almost every fight she's in, she gets ragdolled around and is whiny the entire time. Like, how in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movie, whenever Spider-Man's fighting, all you hear is That's basically this, but in a much more feminine way, like it sounds... Well, oddly enough, it sounds like a weird porno, but just not in the good way. And maybe that's just because those are the kinds of weird grunts the actress is used to making, given her field. But I don't think it is, because she had a lot of fight scenes in that Force movie, and she didn't make any of these weird, annoying sounds. And it's usually someone else that has to bail her out. This, again, is far from what we know of the character to be. When it comes to battle, Cutie Honey is extremely level-headed and tactical. She's a resourceful fighter that uses full capability of her matter transformation ability and the environment around her. Not only that, but she was witty and a tease, often baiting her opponents to make dumb mistakes in sheer anger, and how much confidence she had against them, which allowed her to defeat several foes that overpowered her outright. It's kind of like how if you act all calm and confident in a video game that someone else is super uptight about and winning, probably like Super Smash Bros, because those are the types of people I've encountered, they get psyched out, they get messed up, and they make dumb mistakes. And even though they probably are better than you because they spend way more time playing the game, you win anyway because it just gets inside their head. And that's kind of what Honey does with a lot of her opponents. But not this dumbass. This one's just too stupid for anything like that and just tries her fancy schmancy kicks and has even blocked a blade with her breast, which I still don't understand. And yeah, and while she's fighting, she's either smiling way too much or crying when she starts to lose. In this show, she's just a whiny little wimp that takes more beatings than someone at a fucking BDSM club. What the hell? I understand making your main villains tough to beat, and yes, having them beat the hero, it adds dramatic effect and is good storytelling. It gives the hero a bigger challenge that they haven't normally faced, something to conquer. However, that doesn't mean have them beat her every damn time and then have someone else come and save the day. I think you're missing the point of the main hero show. The main hero is not supposed to lose every single fight. Usually, especially with Tokusatsu, if they want to do this whole monster of the week thing, which they don't actually do too much in this, but you're supposed to have the character usually win to show how much of a hero and good, competent character they actually are and why they're the main character. Otherwise, we're never going to expect that person to win, and it doesn't seem impressive when a villain comes along that actually does beat them because they lose all the time anyway. So that, that doesn't work. That offsets the villain. Then no one seems impressive because everyone can beat this hero. You see, it's just good storytelling. I'm not hating on the show for trying something different. I am hating on it because the different thing they're trying doesn't work, and it's stupid, and they should have seen that from the beginning. Or at least after the first few episodes of filming. It's dumb. It's stupid. They don't even work on developing Honey's abilities when she does lose. I mean, they actually do have these training scenes where Yuji is using like that baseball pitching machine to help get her reflexes and strength up, but it just doesn't work. So even when Honey trains, she can't improve. I don't know if that has to do with her being an android or if it's just having to do with bad writing. I'm gonna go with the fucking stupid writing. Though in the second fight with I'm sorry, the detective's name is not Yuji. It's Saiji or Hayami. That's what I meant. Sorry, these names they're really hard to remember sometimes. Bear with me. Anyway, in the second fight with Yuji, we do get this beautiful reveal of her rapier, the silver floret, at the last second, and that almost turns the tables on him. I mean, it does turn the tables on him. Only he immediately gets back up, switches personality, and beats her again. It's so frustrating! And to make things worse, this isn't the only leader of Panther Claw. It isn't long till we meet the next member, a white guy with Tourette's named Duke, who randomly freaks out and yells, "Shit!" whenever something even minor as someone bumping into him happens. Like, what a fucking baby. Holy Christ. His job is to create cybernetic humans for Panther Claw to be used as weapons, basically. And he also has weird blades attached to his feet. And I know that they're attached to his feet, even though they're coming out of his shoes, because, reasons I'll mention later. But they are attached to his feet. I don't know what the heck the deal with that is. That's a really weird, almost impractical weapon. And he can beat Honey really easily too. So you might be wondering, with all these seemingly unbeatable villains, how does Honey keep getting away and stay alive and not get dismantled and thrown in the trash heap where she belongs? Well, of course Seiji bails her out, and around the time of episode 5, we get our second supporting hero, another android like Cutie Honey called Miki Satome, which is also kind of a little wink and nudge to other Go Nagai characters. That would be Miki Makamura and Dr. Satome, or even Dr. Satome's daughter from Getter Robo and Devilman. And she's played by another model, Ayami Misaki, who some people might know as Escape from Go Busters. And she was also in this movie called Blood Girls, about some underground women cage fighting society. It was a good movie. Now, she's originally a failed prototype of the Honey system. So she was discarded, and you're introduced to her in like some kind of correctional prison for women. And then she soon breaks out and begins attending Honey's school. Now, as we get into these side characters, that's where the show gets good. And I know that's weird to say, but while its main character is handled horribly, everything else is actually interesting and done really well. Miki is a stoic badass Miki's not only an interesting hero, but a competent one. And unlike others, doesn't make me cringe every time she's on screen. And because everyone around her is so cheerful, that makes her interactions with everyone else extremely entertaining. Usually because she's constantly breaking people's hands or threatening people, especially when they hit on her or a certain female that she has her eyes on. Once she enters, she's able to help Honey fight off Panther Claw more successfully, even against the sadist and by far most Panther Claw-esque looking member of this incarnations of Panther Claw so far, Mayumi, who is a sadist dominatrix that dresses in some weird white and red wolf outfit, which, as I said, actually feels more like a Panther Claw design from any of the other shows, and even in the live-action movie. And that's something I noticed that this newer live-action movie doesn't really have. Not really too much outlandish costumes that we're known from seeing from Panther Claw. At this point, the show is starting to improve because it keeps introducing new characters, which kind of distracts from its lack of plot, because there is no real plot so far except for stop Panther Claw. And thankfully distracts from you're at distracts from the debauchery of Honey herself. Really, all the plot so far is Panther Claw wants to make human weapons, and Honey and Miki and the rest of the neighborhood homeless brigade don't want that happening. Because, you know, terrorists plus weapons equals bad. As the show continues to show off its well-done fight choreography and stunt work, which is some of the best I've seen, sure beats the shit they show in that Daredevil show or any Marvel movie. Not to say that those movies are bad. Their writing's certainly a lot better than the writing in this show, but their fight scenes are just awful. So many jump cuts. You know when they use jump cuts? When the people doing the stunts can't perform action scenes. And then we get the final 2 new introductions. First, we're introduced to the last Panther Claw member, Hironi Tanaka, who at first seems like an innocent fishmonger, but turns out to actually run this weird Nazi neighborhood litter cleanup that will literally kill you for throwing a bottle on the ground. Think of a whole gang of really polite versions of Casey Jones from the Ninja Turtles. And with the introduction of what I'm guessing is the final villain, we also get our final hero, and that is the ruthless Yuki. Why do I say ruthless? Because she fucking is! You haven't seen a brutal woman till you've seen Yuki in action. She destroys, she crushes, and she enjoys it all. Every time she gets in a fight with Duke, she literally rips the blades that come out of his feet completely off. And that's how you know they're attached to his feet, because when she rips those things, his feet come off and all his guts are coming out of it too. And even when he gets repaired as a full-fledged cyborg, she still dismantles him almost effortlessly. It's quite the sight, and it's a good shot to the veins that the show needed. Like, holy god, I haven't seen so much brutality since Kamen Rider Amazon. So, what's my view on the show so far? It's a very mixed bag for me. While the characters and stunt work, as well as some of the costumes, are actually really good, the main character and focus of the story is handled in the worst way. However, the saving grace is that the side characters and supporting cast are all so awesome that it can still be enjoyed. After all, most shows have at least one character you hate, even though you love the others, right? Well, this one just happens to be the main character. I can still go through the show and enjoy myself, but I feel like this would be better as a Cutie Honey spin-off. The writer, who has ironically not only worked on Kamen Rider 5s, which another actor from this show is in, but various other well-written tokusatsu shows, can keep things interesting enough, and then the show is more fun to watch when Honey isn't involved. So yeah, I think this would work better as a spin-off, and maybe if a better version of Honey would just appear maybe in the first episode and every now and then when something super important is happening. But I'd really just be interested in seeing what these other characters and new versions of, androids with the Honey system can do and what they would go through. Miki's so stoic that she has plenty of room for character development. She's a blank slate. If you put her through so many traumatic events and also keep that cheerful cast around her that'll show that humanity can kind of conquer all odds no matter what life throws at us, I think that would be a very interesting story in itself, and that could very well be the main focus. I don't know if they'll ever touch on that in the second half of the show, but I really hope they do. And as far as Yuki, well, she could certainly use a few miles of compassion. Or, what if one day she goes a little too over the edge? There's so many different themes that could be explored with just these characters, and the Panther Claw members are actually really interesting. They do weird things like take bets on, will someone return stolen money or not? Something like that. Not normal things that a terrorist group would do. And to have some neo-Nazi garbage pickup team, well, I just that's hilarious and that's weird. You can do so much writing-wise with these, but this first half was really just kind of introducing all those, and I'm guessing that the second half is taking this setup and hopefully doing something with it, because that's what I'm really interested to see. So, do I recommend this to the general audience? No. Not at all. I really only recommend this to people who like Kamen Rider 5s, people who are used to live-action Go Nagai adaptations, be them bad or good. I sort of recommend it to Cutie Honey fans, because it has a whole lot of interesting ideas that are presented with the whole Cutie Honey concept. But if Cutie Honey is like your favorite manga character or anime character, you might not like this because of its horrible interpretation of her. So it's kind of a mixed bag. If you do want to see a more, I guess, mature or I guess risque tokusatsu or live action Japanese show in general, then I'll say give this a shot, but just keep in mind that the main character is extremely annoying. However, all the actors do at least do a good job, and whether they're being super over the top or extremely stoic, it all just depends. But it does make it feel like an actual live action anime, and I believe that feel is really hard to do. Sometimes you either come across as too over dramatic or not enough emotion, and they kind of balance it out with different characters throughout the thing, and it makes it come across as a much more balanced and put together product overall. So bottom line, the show's good, the main character not so much. If you do want to try this show, you can download it at TV Nihon. That's really the only place you can watch it. That's how I watched it, as I just downloaded it from there. It's a free fan sub, and I only support fan subs if there's no official, if there's no official US release and no way for us people in the West to watch this stuff, then, well, yeah, you gotta do something. So, give it a shot, I guess. I've only watched the first half so far, but I will return after a few more episodes with a follow-up and finale of Cutie Honey the Live. Until then, stay saucy, guys and gals, whoever listens to this. See ya.
傷つくわ優しくされて